Tigerchick's Resin Jungle. I'm Tracy, your host. I'm a fairly new resin artist. I've only been doing this a few years, and up until this year, I didn't have a permanent space. I had been doing some stuff out in my carport, which caused me to have to level things every time I did something. I did some stuff in my kitchen, mostly UV, because they were small. I've done some stuff in my basement on a card table, again having to level everything I did. So this year my husband built me this nice, sturdy, level table. And for my very first resin project, I am going to do this lion mold. I can't wait to see how he turns out, and I hope you guys all come along for the ride, and we'll see how it turns out all together. Welcome back. I've picked out some colors to do my mold. I'm going to paint the mold in this mica powder that is flash bronze. I'm going to do the face. And I'm going to use Let's Resin's chameleon powder, the blue, purple, red, to do the mane. I've also picked out a couple of eyes that I think will match the mane nicely. They're blue and red. So then once it's all colored and it's all cleaned up, then I'm going to use my Let's Resin black epoxy resin to fill it. And we'll let it sit, and then we'll see how it turns out. So let's get to coloring. Okay, so now we're going to move on to coloring of the mold. I'm going to start with the face, using the bronze color, which I picked out because I thought it looked more like a real lion, and it was more of a lion color. So I was painting it with the mica powder as, you know, what a real lion would look like. Once I get done painting that, I'm going to clean it up, and I'm going to UV in my eyes. And I'm speeding this up a little bit for you guys so that you don't have to watch me do this in real time, so it won't take so long. This is my first video that I've ever done, so if it's a little rough, you'll have to bear with me. Hopefully I'll get better over time. So I'm in here and I'm coloring the face, and then I'm going to clean up a little bit of it and clean up the eyes a little bit because I don't want any mica powder underneath the eyes when I put the UV resin in. And then once I do that, then I will move on to coloring the mane. So that was just cleaning up the eyes before UV resining them in. And now I'm going to put the eyes in with my UV resin. And I put a little mark on the back of the eye to tell which way the pupil was, so that I knew the pupils were up and they weren't sideways or slanted. I'm not super great with eyes, so they didn't come out exactly the way I wanted, but he looks okay with the finished product. I was very happy with him. So here's me putting in the UV resin into the eyes, and I think I put a little too much in, so I go in there with a Q-tip to try and take out a little bit. I don't think we need that much in there. I just want to secure them in there a little bit, and I put my hand in the way. I don't know why. I am going to now put the eyes in, and I'm going to use a little stick to try and make sure that they're facing the right direction. And then I'm going to use my handheld portable UV light to cure the eyes in. And I do have a Let's Resin double-sided UV light, but I didn't think that that was necessary for these two little eyes. I figured my hand UV light would work just fine. So I'm going to use that a few times on both sides of the mold to make sure that they're good and secure before I move on to coloring of the rest of the mold. And I picked out the two colors because I thought they would look really cool together. I figured, you know, a lion's face and then this beautiful blue purple, red mane, which is why I picked the chameleon colors for the mane. I thought that those would look really cool when you pull the mold and looked at it when it was completed, that it would look, you know, complimentary and it would look fantastical. So here's me just UVing and curing the eyes in place so that they're secure. And then I'm going to clean up my brush to get rid of the previous color from the face before I move on to coloring of the mane. I don't want my mane color to be, mixed up with the face color. And the mica powders, the chameleon ones, come with this little cap so that you can, dip a small brush in there, but you can just pop that off like I do. And then you can fit your entire brush into the mica powder and color your mold doing it that way. And again, I'm speeding up the video so that you don't have to watch me color in real time, because it takes a little while to make sure that I have completely covered the entire mold. And I'm putting it in different directions. I'm looking at it different ways. I'm coloring it in different directions to make sure that I get all of the nooks and crannies of the mold, because it is a lion's mane. There's lots of dips and crevices and stuff. But as you can see, it's coming together really nicely, and it's being, colored. So now I'm done coloring. I blew it off a little bit to get all the excess mica off of it, and now I'm just cleaning up the edge of the mold a little bit so it doesn't have so much of the mica around the edges. I just wanted it to be a little bit cleaner, so it's all, not so messy afterwards. And I'm covered in glitter from the mica powders. So now I'm going to get ready to pour and mix my resin. So I'm putting on my gloves, I'm going to put on my mask, and so that way I'm protected from the fumes that the resin puts off. And I'm using the Let's Resin epoxy, the black epoxy resin. The mold takes about 24 ounces. I measured it previously, and my cup for my resin wasn't big enough, so I had to split it into 4 cups because I didn't have a big enough cup to put the entire 24 ounces in and mix it all at once. So I end up splitting it into 4 cups, 1 8-ounce cup, 1 4-ounce cup of each color, and then mixing those together, and then mixing them with my mixer and using my degasser to get the bubbles out before pouring them into the mold. So I'm going to go mix up my resin at this point, and then I will be back, and I will be putting the lion on my heat mat so that I don't have to move it later, because to put it over here and then move it over there later when it's full of resin would not be a good idea. So my first round of resin has been mixed up, and I'm going to pour it into the mold, and I'm pouring it onto my stick before it goes into the mold to try and eliminate the amount of bubbles that are in the mold. And then I still have, this was only 8 ounces, I still have another 16 ounces to pour and mix. Well, it's already poured, but to mix, to add to the mold. So I'm just pouring slowly even though I know there's mica powder on there, and I know it's black resin, I still want to have the least amount of bubbles that I can have. So I'm pouring it very slowly to make sure that I minimize the amount of bubbles that are in it. And then I will mix together my other 16 ounces and pour them in. And I've done some editing so that, you guys don't have to watch me mixing and blending all of that stuff together, so that you guys are just seeing the pouring portion of it. As you can see, I'm kind of in the shot, and I've got my mask on, I've got my gloves on, and I'm scraping the bowl to get the last little bits of resin out, and then I'm going to mix up the next set of resin, and this is the additional ounces of resin that needed to be put into the mold. And again, I'm going to pour it very slowly and pour it onto my stick before pouring it into the mold. Again, to reduce the amount of bubbles that could potentially be in the mold. Although, being on a heat mat, there's probably not going to be many. I am doing this in my basement, so my basement is a little bit colder than the rest of my house, which is why I'm using the heat mat, even though it's, June. And it's been extremely cold and not very warm where I am in the United States, in Connecticut. We've been a little disappointed in our spring. We kind of went from winter, and our spring wasn't very warm. Our summer hasn't really started yet. The first day of summer is coming up in the next couple of days, and hopefully the temperature will at that point change, because it's not been very warm. It's been kind of cold and rainy and not very summer or spring-like for that matter. So here I am finishing up the pouring of the black resin into the mold. I ended up having a little extra, and I poured a couple other small things, but I didn't put them on camera, and I'll just finish them up separately. But I wanted to make sure I had my mold completely filled. Going forward, I'll, try and make sure that my videos are a little bit better. I'm trying to see if it's level or not, how much more I need to add, so that I don't overfill my mold. I don't want to overfill my mold and have resin pouring all over the place, because that wouldn't be good. It'd be a little bit messy. And I don't want it on the floor or on my mats or anywhere else. I mean, the mats are all silicone, so if it did pour on them, I could just simply peel it off once it hardens. Okay, there, I've finished pouring. I'm going to just leave it sitting at this point. As you can see, I've poured a couple other small things. I'm going to put my top on my heat mat, and I'm going to let it sit till the next day. And then we're going to come back and we'll demold the project. So, see you then. Okay, it's reveal day. I'm working on slowly releasing the resin from the mold. I don't want to pull it too much because I don't want to rip my mold. I want to be able to use this lion mold again to do it in different colors. So I'm just slowly breaking apart the edge of the mold, and then I'm slowly trying to release the rest of the mold. And doing this while trying to keep it hidden from the camera is a tricky little feat. I'm used to just pulling off my molds from my resin and not really worrying about what it looks like or who's able to see it. But I'm trying to, keep this to be a big reveal so that you guys can see when I see what it looks like at the same time. So I'm just slowly pulling him off. He is coming out. I'm just making sure that I'm taking my time and not pulling too hard, and I'm just giving it the right amount of tension to get it out of the mold. And he's out. And the mold looks pretty good. It's clean. It didn't leave anything in it. So the mold came out well. Now, get ready for the reveal. Are you ready?
Here it comes. And he is! Ta-da! He's gorgeous. He's just the way I envisioned him. I so was envisioning a typical lion face with this beautiful blue, purple, red mane. And I think he came out just the way I was envisioning him. His eyes look pretty good. I haven't decided if I am going to do anything more to him. But he's beautiful. I was thinking maybe coloring his nose, like the tip of his nose, either black or maybe red. I'm not sure. And then doing the lips in his mouth, like a black. And then whether I want to do his whiskers or not. And those might be black or white. I'm not sure. Or I just may leave him gold just the way he is. Because he looks beautiful just the way he is. What do you guys think? Do you think he was a good first project for my new channel? Do you think he was perfect? I don't see any bubbles. So, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this.